Hey everybody, my name is Matthew Estrad. I am the caregiver support group facilitator for the Council on Aging in St. Tammany, and I'm just really excited to be here with you and um, to continue creating videos to put on the YouTube page in hopes to help you on your caregiving or aging journey. So today we're going to be talking about um, family dynamics, specifically when siblings disagree about care. So we're going to talk about that for 10 minutes or so. And before we get into that, I want to tell you about the caregiver support group that I mentioned that I facilitate. So basically, we meet 4 times a month on every Tuesday evening from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Now, there is a calendar slash flyer that we publish every 2 months that has the exact dates and times, et cetera, where we are. But the basic pattern each month does not change. The first Tuesday, we're in person at the Slidell Activity Center. The second one, we are on the Zoom platform. That's actually what I'm recording this on, but you can also join by phone. If you join with video, you can join on your smartphone, your tablet. You can just do a voice call, like just almost like a landline. Um, so you can do that, just audio. On the third Tuesday of the month, we're back in person. We're at the Covington Senior Activity Center. And then the fourth Tuesday of the month, we're back on Zoom. Now, sometimes there are a handful, well, not a handful, but there are a few months of the year where there are 5 Tuesdays, and sometimes we meet, and sometimes we do not meet. It just kind of depends. We get advice and clearance from the Council on Aging at St. Tammany to see if they want us to meet. Or sometimes we take that Tuesday off. So anyway, if you don't have the flyer and you're not on our private free email list, you should call Coast or visit the Coast website and get on that list so you can get the reminders every Tuesday of where we are. And then every time we have a new flyer, we end up putting that out via email as well. So with that housekeeping out of the way, we'll get started with this important topic. So this is when siblings disagree about care. So I've been a caregiver support group facilitator for almost 12 years. And I've found that there are two types of families. On one hand, you have one where the caregiving experience is, they come together as a team. The challenge of having a parent or another loved one that is not well, that has a chronic illness, whether it's dementia or something else, it brings them together. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but in general, they work together, they work in harmony. The other type of family is one where um, there's disharmony. There might be people who are not involved. Um, I'll just kind of leave it there and kind of unpack it during this time. But we'll say that there are families that come together, and there are families that where they may come together, maybe they don't, but there's disharmony, and there's many challenges that arise from this very stressful event. And there's no doubt it's a stressful event for both families, but there's just a different response. And I should say it's not one or the other. There are certainly degrees. There are certainly like degrees on a continuum of a family that comes together and a family that is in conflict. But we're just going to kind of say, just for argument's sake, we're going to say there's two types, and people probably gravitate towards one side or the other. So why do we're gonna say sibling conflicts, but it could be with aunts and uncles too. Like it could be, other family members, but we're gonna kind of just, kind of think about this example as siblings for the most part. So why does this happen? Um, and there could be any combination of these, but these are just some things that I've seen. Distance in caregiving or unequal caregiving load. This might mean that someone lives in town, but there's like this distance where they're not coming to help, or it can mean a physical distance, like they're many states away, and they're not coming in, which may not be in their, it may not be feasible for them to do that, but nonetheless, they're not there pulling their weight say as much as the other one is fair or not of an assessment that is. That can cause some conflict. Another one is guilt or denial, and these are different things, but maybe it's a denial of there's nothing wrong with mom. I don't know what you're talking about, and that could be, a willful denial, like they don't want to see it, or it could be something, where they honestly don't see it because they're not spending time in the family with mom, and in this case, so they're not seeing it. Guilt is a different than that. Different guilt we find is that people are not living up to what they think the model caregiver is or what they should. They have all these um, con some they have a conception of and a vision of what a good caregiver is, and many times it's being a perfect one, which none of us ever will be. But we grade ourselves against that, and we feel guilty when we fall short. And that's we've done videos about guilt before. There can be financial concerns, like it's expensive to bring care into the home, to bring sitters into the home. It is expensive to put someone in to put someone into in memory care or assisted living or anything like that. Like we're talking a lot of money, and mom and dad may have saved up for that. They might have a long-term care policy, or they may not. They may be spending down all of their assets, to make this happen. And then sometimes it can fall if there's no money, and there's no other option. It ends up being a financial responsibility of the children to sort of pitch in and pay for help to come in, or to help someone to be in a facility. So and these are not the only options where it's the kids contributing or nothing. There are, of course, insurance programs. There's Medicaid, that someone may find themselves qualified for after they've spent down their funding. Um, but financial concerns is certainly a very common stressor. Old family dynamics resurfacing. So this can be disagreements from the past, misunderstandings, miscommunications from the past, feelings of inequity, not being treated like other siblings in the past, not feeling loved. Maybe even there might be some instances of abuse that is now like now you're kind of have responsibility for this person who may have mistreated you in any number of ways. So these are all, very challenging family dynamics to that can resurface that perhaps never even went away. But here they are, coming back, and that can cause infighting, conflict between siblings, and even, with the parent or the person who is with the condition, dementia, or other type of chronic condition. Different interpretations of what's best. And gosh, like, somebody thinking that mom needs this type of care, and the other one thinks, no, I think it's this. I don't think she needs this much. So there's this, we all have our perceptions and opinions on what is needed. And of course that impacts finances and denial and guilt and caregiving load and all that. So it's like, it's perfect storm of different things. So I should kind of pause here and say, like, if you're experiencing these types of things, our caregiver support group is the place to bring those if you're comfortable sharing those, because many of the people in our group certainly over the years, have experienced this. So this is nothing new. And at least when you're with caregivers, other caregivers, fellow caregivers, you can speak that same language and hear some empathy and hear some other experiences and some strategies if that's what you're looking for. So I'm going to introduce a 4-part framework of things that you can do. One is clarifying the facts. So while there's a lot of confusion and ambiguity around, say, dementia, and even other chronic conditions, there are some things that can be certain. So a diagnosis, it may not be a clear diagnosis, but is there a diagnosis? So you're kind of clarifying the facts. Is there a suspicion of dementia? Is there a diagnosis? What do you think about that diagnosis? Safety issues. This could be, household cleaners. This could be driving many times as a safety concern. Um, uh, Common household chemicals and, elopement out of the house if the doors are not locked. So lots of things like that. And some people feel like mom is safe enough to drive and other people don't feel like mom is safe to drive. So getting some clarity around these and establishing some facts. Others could be clarifying doctor recommendations, which would be in the after visit summary, and finances. So all these things we talked about, the diagnosis, safety issues, doctor recommendations, finances. You want to build as much factual um, information, including documentation that you can. So here it is, it is right here. It doesn't mean that someone's going to accept it, but we're talking about doing the best, very best that we can to set up this situation where things can get resolved. So clarifying the facts. Next is identify each of the siblings' fears. There might be a fear of burnout, or there might actually be burnout, losing control, like a fear of losing control, a fear of losing connection, a fear of losing money, a fear of guilt or having actual guilt. So these are just examples. There can be, there are behind difficult emotions are fears many times, and it's identifying that in a gentle way, so that they feel heard. And maybe you're helping them discover that they have a fear as well. It could be a fear of death, of the loved one, actually, passing away, because they will pass away just like all of us, but their case being more certain or more imminent in the future. Define your loved one's wishes. So this is really important because the person who's living with dementia, the person that you're caring for, they have wishes, and hopefully they have expressed those wishes, and they have preferences typically. And many times knowing that ahead of time and applying that and like making that clear can relieve some of the stress, because it's not up to this sibling or that sibling. It's like mom wanted these things if possible. This is the care scenario that she wanted. So let's go to that. Let's focus on what she asked for. So what matters to them? What did they say about, or what does everyone think about quality of life versus longevity? How do they feel about staying at home versus moving if there's an option? I know sometimes someone may not want to move into a facility, but that because of their condition, the best care that they're going to get is going to be um, in a in some type of facility. So defining loved ones' wishes. Next, agree on roles and boundaries. Who does what at what times, and what does help look like? What is realistic? So you might have some wishes. I wish my siblings did this, that, and helped me out in these ways. Is that realistic with their schedule, with where they live, with whatever their life circumstances are if they have children? And um, it's never a good time to be a caregiver, so it's going to be a challenge for everybody. It doesn't mean that if you're the primary caregiver, it is quote unquote falling on you. It doesn't mean that a sibling's challenges gets them off the hook, but they are things to be recognized and kind of negotiate and see, you know, what can be done, even if they might have a set of a different situation as you, where you're more available than them. Next is to hold a family meeting. That means having an agenda. It means having some ground rules. It means coming to the table with documentation, with facts, the facts that we talked about, and creating documentation at the meeting so that everybody afterwards, either that day or the next day, maybe someone's got to type it up, but everybody gets the minutes, so to speak, of what the outcomes were from that family meeting, and just so everybody's on the same page. Um, think about bringing in a third party. That could be a social worker that is familiar with things, or maybe it's someone who is not. And they come in as an objective party and someone who has experience in care coordination and even family therapy. They're not there to be a therapist, but some social workers have that gift and that ability to provide therapy and to mediate things. You might want to bring in a professional mediator. You might want to bring in your priest. You might want to bring in a care manager. So these are all just options, not telling you who the right person is, but just to know it might be helpful to bring a third person, whoever, or sorry, a party, whoever that is. So I think we'll stop it there. I hope this has been really helpful. I hope it's giving you food for thought. It's difficult to know everybody's situation, be able to address in a video everybody's unique thing, but I hope that I've outlined some principles that'll be helpful for you. So I hope that this was insightful. And mostly, I mean, I hope that you maybe watch it again and certainly put a pen down to paper and write down some thoughts, and then maybe send it to the other siblings if it's time, or send it to a best friend and kind of get their feedback. And hey, this is, just kind of, talk with somebody, maybe even outside the family, confidentially, get some ideas and build your confidence so that you can take action on this. And last thing I want to mention is this might feel really urgent, um, in like an emergency. And while you don't want to wait too long, I would suggest doing these uh, in um, in a patient way, in a thoughtful way, and not just jumping into it. I'm sure, okay, of course, there's going to be some imminent things. There could be some emergencies where things have to be decided. And those are times when you, as the primary caregiver, might just need to make decisions for the betterment of your loved one. But for the most part, most things are not. They might feel like an emergency, but they're not. And that's when it's time to be thoughtful and to have a plan and present it in a way, and to hope that it goes through, but knowing that things are not going to be perfect. So, um, so anyway, bring your thoughts to the caregiver support group. We will provide feedback if you want it. Will certainly be a sounding board and be empathetic and encourage you, as you approach your family in this, like in a methodical way, to help the family along and help you, and especially help your parent or whoever the loved one is. So thanks for watching this whole video. I'll be thinking about you as you take action on the information, and I hope that you'll check out more of the videos here on the Coast YouTube channel. Take care.